Hey, what is going on, guys? Talk Norwich City here, back for another video. Today I'm joined alongside writer, scout, and all-round good guy, Kristen Heneage. He's here today to talk to you guys about Daniel Farke, the man who is rumoured to be the new head coach at Norwich City. So, Kristen, let's start. Daniel Farke, who is he?
He's Dortmund's second team head coach as it stands right now, but it looks increasingly like he's going to be Norwich City's first ever foreign manager, I think I'm right in saying.
Indeed, yeah. We've never had a German player, so this is going to be the first German manager, and he could bring in some German players as well. I suppose, how has he come under Stuart Webber's kind of radar? He's obviously done good things at Dortmund's second team. What good things does that include?
Well, the funny thing is, Stuart obviously identified David Wagner for Huddersfield and brought him over. And that at the time was seen as quite an under-the-radar signing and a little bit out-the-box thinking. I think what he's done is he's revisited that in so much as he's gone back to Dortmund, looked at what Wagner's successor in Farke has done and thought, you know what, I think he would translate well again, because that's essentially the timeline we're looking at. Funnily enough, Dortmund's second team weren't doing well when Wagner left. They were close to relegation. They were really struggling. Farke comes in, changes things, really improves them, gets them to finish, I think, fourth in the first season when he comes in, then gets them second in the season that's just gone, and overall just improves the standing of Dortmund's second team. So I think what he's done is, as I say, he's looked at the situation. I think he's probably looked at prospective candidates in England and coaches that are familiar with English football and thought there's probably not value in the market for a club like Norwich City. So he's tried to, I think, take a different approach and look at how successful Wagner was, at least in coming into a new scenario and being able to work with perhaps some more tight constraints.
I mean, it all does sound good on sort of surface level. I know a lot of Norwich City fans, though, their worry is that this is a man who has never managed in England. His current club is an under-23 club, pretty much. Will he be able to take the step up into the second division of English football and meet the very high expectations that currently lie at Norwich City because of our failure the past season? So, do you see the characteristics in Farke to come in here and live up to that pressure?
I think there are a lot of positives. I mean, you know, your good friend Chris Reeve always gives a dose of realism, I find, on this channel. And I think you could look at the negatives and say that he doesn't have senior team experience. He's worked with young guys, which whenever I've spoken to coaches, the benefit of working with younger players is they aren't moulded, they aren't shaped. You can really talk to them in a different way than you would a 26, 27-year-old. Is someone like Tim Close, for example, going to be able to listen to Farke because he hasn't got that experience and hasn't worked with senior players? I think perhaps the way Webber has looked at this is he's worked with a very young group, which I imagine is where Webber wants to take Norwich. He wants to make them a younger club on the pitch. And I think he's thought, well, if you can work with a group that you can't really change drastically, you have to just work with the players you're given by the club. That's a kind of adaptability that I think appeals to him. And if you look right at the top of the Premier League this season, the team that won it in Chelsea, they did it because they were pragmatic. And I think what you can say of Farke at the minute is he's been pragmatic because he's worked with a squad that was quite tight-knit and didn't really have much flexibility or room for shaping.
Yeah, I mean, sort of final question then. Farke's come out and said on countless occasions that he kind of likes to run the club almost from top to bottom. He said he likes to cook, make the teas, take the cones out for training. Do you think that style of management translates well into English football? Because I know the German game and the English game are very different, and I suppose that's the worry of a lot of fans as well, is that just unpredictability of everything.
Well, I know he was talked about as a potential candidate for the Bayer Leverkusen job.
Yeah.
You have to think maybe if that's his ethos, that I want to do everything, that's not going to appeal to someone like Leverkusen. With Norwich where it's at the minute, I felt personally under Alex Neil it was a little bit directionless at times. Now, granted, Webber has come in and I think he's going to give a lot of structure from the top down. You will still need other people, though, to take that lead. I think it's all about really how Webber and Farke work together as a pair, because the difficulty comes in signing players, for example. I've said numerous times that when it comes to transfers, everyone takes credit for the success and no one wants to talk about the failures. And in that instance, you can almost build a partition between the two based on their respective successes and failures, because they don't want to take the blame for something they didn't sign off on. I would like to think that Farke will do a lot of the things that you talked about, the corns, that kind of thing, below the surface level, that kind of stuff that I really think a coach can do very well and influence things. But then also Weber will have the experience, the knowledge, I think just the insight when it comes to working in the English market and trying to get players in, because I think that's really what you want in a perfect scenario, is perhaps someone like Farke's knowledge of Germany and the German market and maybe some of the neighbouring countries, feeding that into Weber and then letting him do the business side of things.
Let's just round it off then. We've talked about all the very fine details and things, but what is your gut feeling? Are you feeling good for Norwich City? Do you think this is going to turn out to be an inspired move, or do you think it could flop?
I think it depends entirely on how much patience you have. And what I mean by that is, if you look at Wagner, he came in and his ethos, his mentality is very Kloppy, and you can tell they're best friends. That's very easy to impart on a group of players, because essentially what you're telling them to do is run hard, be disciplined, I'll teach you this shape. I don't believe Farke operates in the same way. He's not a Tuchel disciple for comparison's sake. And I just wonder if that style and that ethos, even if he comes in now in late May, it could take just a little bit longer to try and impart, because that's the other thing. Wagner had about 6 months, if memory serves, before this season to work with them and work out who's going to do it, who's not, who can I shift, who's worth selling to fund other deals. The lack of time for Farke gives me a slight concern that it might not hit the heights that you want in the first season. Saying that, I would feel confident in saying that with the squad you've got and the players you've got, the likes of Pritchard and people like that, the playoffs to me seems at the low end very achievable when you're bringing in a new manager like this.
Kristen, thanks so much, mate.
Absolute pleasure.